of it. Very good. Okay, so if you are not familiar with Masters Design Holistic Health Solutions, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what we do. We help people determine what is causing their body not to function the way that they want it to. And then we determine what their body needs so it can nutritionally heal and repair itself. So if you're watching this video, you might be someone who's got some unresolved health issues and you're frustrated and you're not getting any answers because no one's telling you the root cause of what's happening in your body. So that's what we do here at Masters Design. We are a root cause office. We're a longevity office, right? So we want you to have a really nice long life, but we want you to have a good life. We want you to feel good so that you can do the things that you want to do. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a board-certified holistic nutrition practitioner through the National Association of Nutrition Professionals. I'm also a certified brain health coach, certified metabolic balance coach, and certified energy kinesiologist, and I am advanced clinically trained in nutrition testing. So if you have not had a chance to hop on my website, looking to see if anyone's here. Hey, Richard's here. Hey, Rich, how you doing? So, yeah, there we go. So Rich is here. Rich is on his lunch break. Rich is a current client. And so I'm just gonna chat for a few more minutes and see who else shows up. Rich is doing great. I love it. Rich has always got such a great attitude. Hey, Rich, before I go back to what I was talking about as an intro, while I'm waiting to see, we've got a couple of people who have messaged that they want to try to hop on today. So I'm going to hang out here and see if they're able to show up. So Rich, but since you're here, I'll answer any questions you have. So Rich, do you have any questions for me? I know you're a current client, but that's okay. Current clients always have questions, and so I'm always available and happy to answer them. So do you have anything that you would like for me to answer for you? Rich and his wife have been clients for a couple of years now. All right, and I know Rich is also on his lunch break at work, so he may have hopped on and he might be trying to eat his lunch. So I'm going to see what else we can talk about here. Let's just chat for a few minutes about one of my, I'll say, favorite subjects. Not really. I'm being a little sarcastic with that. Oh, there's Rich. He's going to answer. All right. So Rich and his friend, Rich has a friend and his wife has gallstones. Yeah, Rich. Boy, Rich, I have a lot of recommendations for that. So I am really glad you asked. So here's what I will say. I don't have a cut and dry answer for a particular symptom like gallstones, for example. But what I will tell you, there's something really foundational, Rich, that your friends, that your friend and his wife need to understand. They really need to be looking at the foundational reason why her body is creating gallstones, right? So that's what we do here at Masters Design. So you have a gallbladder. I'll give you just a little bit of science. You have a gallbladder, right? And it is very closely works together with your liver. Your gallbladder your liver produces something called bile, and it gets stored in the gallbladder. And the bile's job it's part of the body's detoxification system, but part of what the body does is it uses that bile to move toxins out. But what happens, unfortunately, there's quite a heavy toxic load just from chemicals in our environment and chemicals in our food. And from something called delayed food allergens, which I was actually getting ready to talk about a little bit before Rich hopped on here. And so we'll hopefully have time to go back to that today. But what happens as our liver gets overworked? So let me back up and give you a little bit more science, Rich. When the liver is not functioning optimally, it doesn't have the ability to move toxins out efficiently like we would like it to, right? So unfortunately, what I call our exit pathways get very overworked. So our liver is an exit pathway. We have other exit pathways in the body, and that's pathways where toxins need to move out and exit the body very specifically. But since you asked about gallstones, I'm not going to talk about any exit pathway right now except for the liver, right? So the liver has got this huge responsibility. Our livers get worked all the time, overworked really, because our liver has the job of moving toxins out of the body. The the gallbladder, again, it stores bile, and bile is the part of the body's way of moving. It's a liquid, and it's a part of the way that the body moves the toxins out. So when we have gallstones, for example, what that tells me is there's something called, this sounds really gross, but it's the truth. There's something called sludge, right? And that bioaccumulates, that accumulates in the, not only can bioaccumulate in the gallbladder, but it can also bioaccumulate in the in what's called the bile ducts. Okay, and the bile ducts are linked, of course, to the liver itself. So, um, with that said, when we get too much, they call it actually biliary sludge is actually the name of it. But when you get too much biliary sludge, that accumulates, right? And then unfortunately, the liver cannot move the toxins out efficiently enough as that accumulates, and it forms can form gallstones. Okay, and so I would imagine that this friend of yours with gallstones probably also has. I'll say discomfort with maybe eating fatty foods. So usually when the body's moved into the place of having gallstones, the body's probably already showing some signs of stress in this area, but people don't always know. They don't quite link or they don't understand what's happening, and so probably the body's having a difficult time breaking down the fats, which are absolutely really necessary and necessary for every enzymatic process in the body, as well as necessary for good, healthy brain function. We've got to have good, healthy fats. So there's a lot of reasons why we want to have a really good capacity to break down, to break down and utilize essential fatty acids or fats. Okay, and so what happens with the gallbladder, unfortunately, as a society, we so healthy fats are really important, but it's really important to know what the healthy fats are for your body. And as a society as a whole, we eat way too many of the unhealthy fats, and those are usually in the way of what I call omega-6 fatty acids, and they are in abundance in our modern American diet. And so they're in all of our processed foods, and they're actually in an abundance in I will say, our meat supply, unfortunately. So, of course, my recommendation for anyone is to try to eat as clean as you possibly can. Grass-fed meat, for example, has a much healthier essential fatty acid profile than than what I'll say, the meats that are raised more by conventional means. They have the conventional means. Raised meats are quite high in these omega-6 fatty acids. So again, all of this bioaccumulates, um, and the body just can't break it down, and then we have gallstones. So, Rich, you're probably going to already know my answer to this. I know you say, well, what can we do about that? Of course, you definitely want to be, again, making sure that the foods that you're eating, that you're staying away from as much processed foods as possible, as well as, again, you just want to be eating organic if you possibly can, and eating grass-fed meats if you possibly can. But my guess, Rich, is this friend of yours who has these gallstones probably has progressed in their health journey to a place where they would absolutely benefit from a couple of things. And that is detoxification, of course, and we do that here at Masters Design. But this is actually going to springboard me into the recommendation that I would make for this person, and that is, before you hopped on, Rich, I was going to talk about something called delayed food allergens. Delayed food allergens are absolutely contributory in a big way to why the liver doesn't function properly and why the body would start creating things like gallstones and would be having a hard time, digesting fats. Um, and so that's the delayed food allergens. So I do want to talk for just a few minutes about that because, again, that's really, yes, they contribute to gallstones, but they actually contribute to almost every single symptom or any way that your body is not functioning the way that you want it to. These delayed food allergens can absolutely be underlying culprits. So they are very tricky because honestly, they're also known as food sensitivities. So, food sensitivities known as delayed food allergens, but they are silent contributors to, again, the way the body's dysfunctioning. So, it can be pain, it can be inflammation, it can be gallstones, like it can be so many symptoms, so many places where the body's basically moving into a dysfunction. Okay. And here's the really tough part about these is that the body, you don't even know that it's actually happening, and so that's why they're so tricky. And then also, what I want to say about these delayed food allergens, and I'm going to expound on these more as we go, is they are absolutely the number one problem facing the human immune system today, because they cause an upregulation in the immune response, but it's related to food. And so we're eating every day, all day long. And so our immune system is in this constant state of almost, I'll say, attack, right? It's dealing with these foods. If there's a food sensitivity, it's dealing with these all day long. And so the health of your entire immune system is totally dependent on the health of your gut. So people don't always link their gut health to the health of the rest of their body, but it absolutely is related to the health of the rest of your body. So, delayed food allergens, Rich, can be very tricky. And the reason that they're tricky is you can eat something and your body can have what I call an immune response. And it can be maybe 45 minutes after you eat something, maybe 15 minutes after you eat something, right? And most of the time, people can kind of link that immediate reaction. I call it immediate reaction because it's pretty quick within, just a couple of minutes, maybe 45 minutes. But if they maybe get bloated, or have some indigestion, but they may link that symptom to that food. And that would make some sense that it would be contributing to that issue. However, the reason that delayed food allergens are so tricky is that actual symptom could be related to something that you ate 3 or even 4 days prior. That's why they're called delayed food allergens. Sometimes the immune response hits someone 3 to 4 days later. So that's why they're really tricky, because in that 3 to 4 day time frame, you will have eaten, 3 to 4 to 5, 6 more meals, and so you'd have no way to link that symptom back to the food that you ate. The other thing that makes these delayed food allergens really tricky is the reaction in your body literally can take place anywhere. So you can eat a food that is sensitive for you. That's what that I would call a delayed food allergen, right? You can eat this food and yeah, you might have a digestive upset or a bloating, but the truth is it can hit you anywhere. So again, days later, you could have a headache or you could get really emotional, right? You could be kind of irritable, right? Who out there gets a little bit irritable and you don't even know why? Like you just don't feel great emotionally. It could literally be from something that you ate 3 or 4 days prior, right? And you would have no way of linking it to that actual symptom because the reaction is delayed and it's also happening. It's actually impacting your emotions, which would really be linked to your brain function more than it's linked to your gut. All right. So the other problem with delayed food allergens is there is an accumulative effect. So the bottom line is you can have this accumulation of these delayed food allergens, and you have a little bit today, a little bit, later today, a little bit tonight for dinner, a little bit in a snack that you have after dinner, and then you start all over again tomorrow. And you have maybe what you eat for breakfast is entirely healthy, and then you have issues a little bit later. So all of this accumulates and they cause what I call in basically inflammatory chaos. And so this is why delayed food allergens are really, really tricky. So, Rich, the best advice that I could give to your friends is that honestly, they need to contact my office because I'm going to tell you what we do here at Masters Design for delayed food allergens. And that is what I call a mediator release test, where we will actually have you go for a blood draw. And then we will have a test that will tell you what your body's immune response, what your inflammatory response is to foods. And it can be a high inflammatory response, which would be signaled in the report as red. There can be a medium inflammatory response, which would be signaled as yellow. And there could be a low inflammatory response, which would be green. And so, along with this mediator release test, we have a very specific way that we methodically work clients through an eating plan, and so that they can very methodically remove the foods that are inflammatory from their diet. But then that doesn't mean they keep them out forever. It means then we teach them how to put the foods back in. We also teach them how to listen to the signals of their body so that they can learn how to basically be well and stay well. Right. So that's how we work with food sensitivities. So Rich, yeah, I hope that was a good explanation for your friends. The bottom line is anytime there's a dysfunction in the body, we have to look at the three elements that lead to inflammation in the body, because inflammation is the leading cause of disease. I'm actually going to go ahead and drop in the chat, Rich, if you want it. I know you know how to access it. But I'm going to go ahead and put in here our website. So if you would like to pass this along to your friends, and this chat will also be on replay for anyone watching it. I just popped our website link in there. For anyone who wants to get more information about how we work with these food sensitivities, all of that is a lot of that's on our website, and then you can also call our office for additional information. But what I really want to share more as global information is you're welcome, Rich. So Rich said, thank you much. Thank you very much. That's good information. So Rich, you're really, really welcome. I'm glad you were able to hop on today. But what you're going to see if you hop onto the website or your friends hop onto the website to get some more information is that truly inflammation is the leading cause of disease. And so we deal at Masters Design, we deal with the leading causes of inflammation, which are food sensitivities. We've got to make sure that we're getting the proper nutrition. We got to make sure that we are dealing with our toxic load. And then we also have to deal even with negative mindsets. So all of these things lead to inflammation and disease in the body. And so that is just what's happening there with the gallstones, and then, of course, any kind of dysfunction. So thank you, Rich. You said you're going to pass this along to your friends. So I really appreciate that. Very good. Rich, do you have any other questions that I can answer for you? I'm happy to do that today. And if you don't have anything else, that's fine. I'm going to hang on here for just a little bit because I know we had a couple of people that were going to try to hop on. Good. Not right now. All right, Rich. Well, enjoy the rest of your lunch. And I'm glad you got to hop on today. All right. I'm going to hang out here and just wait for a few minutes to see if anybody else hops on and do a little bit of paperwork. And if they do, that's wonderful. Thanks, Rich. You have a blessed day too. Your dear friend. Awesome. So I'm going to work on a little bit of paperwork while I just wait here to see if anybody else hops on. Check some email.